Today we're talking about external solar panels that you can add to your trailer in order to juice up your batteries on the go at a remote campsite when you don't have services and such, how to add a little bit more power to your pack, as well as the considerations to be made depending on your particular trailer. For our first example trailer, we'll be taking a look at this E21. It's a beautiful showroom model here, and we're going to be seeing what it currently has and what we can do if we want to add external power. Let's take a look at the inside first. Now, every Escape is a little tiny bit different, so of course you can always reach out to support here in After Sales for more information on your particular trailer. But when we look at the power system here, we do have a battery. This one, I believe, is going to be a lithium battery on this unit. We have a smart shunt, we have a bunch of cables. This big old guy here is going to be a 1500 watt inverter, which goes ahead and takes that battery power, that's 12 volt, and turns it into something that we can use for our outlets, our receptacles. But what I am not seeing in here, even though it was equipped with that solar port on the side, is a charge controller. And instead what we have is all of our cables over here nicely bundled out of the way for safekeeping. Why would they do that? Well, the reason is that we don't have any solar panels on the roof, so it doesn't require it by default. Some people may never add solar, and if you do want to add solar, whether it's to the roof or ground deployable, they don't know which charge controller you're going to need. So this little guy is an example of a charge controller. And they're very simple little devices, and basically what these are like traffic lights. When your battery's at 100%, it's a red light. No need to keep pushing in power because we don't want to overcharge our batteries. But when your batteries are below a certain voltage, say 13.2 volts or the like, this guy is a PWM30. So generally it's going to be about 30 amps, maybe about 400 watts or so of power is what this can do. We might want more than 400 watts. We might want to put 800 watts on our roof, right? And so if we had this charge controller with 800 watts connected, whether it's ground or on the roof, no difference really, well, what would happen is we're wasting all that power. Well, that's not great. So you can pick whichever unit you like. There are options, of course, to configure these trailers with solar capability from the start, and just work with your configurator if you are choosing to pick up a new trailer. But for existing trailers, it's an easy upgrade. And essentially, follow the instructions on each unit and read the specifications. But we have a battery connection, we have a positive and a negative. So those wires are going to go in there. And then we have a solar positive and negative. And then other charge controllers are going to have other unique features, of course. Generally, they all work about the same. So if it were my trailer, I'd go ahead and I'd wire the battery to this, and then those solar wires that came in right to this guy. Then when I plug in my panel, given that our panels that we ground deploy are generally going to be, let's say, under 400 watts, well, easy peasy, there we go. I don't even have to think about it. But let's look at these panels real quick. So this is one example of many solar panel configurations that you can get. They're all rated at different capacities, anything from 50 to I've seen up to 600 watts. And where this will be an unfoldable panel array, right? And so each of these is probably, in this instance, maybe 25 watts. I've seen them when they are also solar blankets, and they're the same thing, but it's kind of just dependent on how they all fold together, essentially. Now, these also have little legs on the backside that we can kind of kick out, and that'll hold it in place. My preference would be to put a little bit of, like, not a sandbag necessarily, because who brings that camping, but maybe a stake or something like that, just in case you don't want that wind to come and pick these guys up. There are flexible panels out there. There's all sorts of configurations. The thing to consider when you don't have any solar on these guys is whether or not this already has a charge controller. In some cases, they do have a charge controller. And if that's the case, just make sure this is set on the appropriate style of battery, right? Because they're going to have different settings. So where this trailer right here is going to have lithium, you might also have AGM, and they have different charge profiles. On the back side of this Renogy panel is going to be what are called MC4 connections. They're very nice waterproof connections. And all we have to do here is go ahead, and there's a male and a female end. We'll go ahead and connect the two ends. And we can see, of course, we have a black negative here, and then positive here. Most likely it will be wired that way. We're good to go. And then we have our extensions. Here on the side of our trailer, this is the ZAMP port, Z-A-M-P. It's an SAE connection here. We'll go ahead and take that, plug it in. Easy as that. And as long as our charge controller is installed, it's going to go ahead and take what it needs. There we go. No more thinking about it. Now, in some cases, if you're having some issues, you want to make sure that this is the correct polarity. So in some instances, you'll see that these are sort of wired backwards. Go ahead and just test that out. Make sure that they correlate properly. And if we need to, we can use an adapter. That adapter will look something like this, where essentially you set that on, and it reverses the polarity, right? And so instead of it being positive and negative, it's now positive and negative the opposite way. Then we can just the same, we can go ahead and plug that in. Off we go. Now, if we take a closer look at the back side of this panel, it'll show the specifications of this particular unit. So the maximum power this is rated for is 220 watts. We can see that the open circuit voltage is 23.6 volts, and that will come in handy later. But in this instance, we need to know, can our charge controller handle 220 watts or the amperage that it's going to put out? If yes, then off we go. If no, then of course we need to up our charge controller. We need to install a better charge controller, or beefier charge controller. Now, if the charge controller is built in and we have no other solar, doesn't matter whatsoever. But I would caution against attempting to connect one of these, if they do have a charge controller, to an existing charge controller. That's sometimes either not going to work at all or can potentially cause some issues. However, if you find you just got a great deal on a portable panel that has a built-in charge controller or the like, there's nothing wrong with having multiple charge controllers connected to one battery. They all work independently, and off you go. Now, here behind me is an Escape 23. It's configured a little bit differently with the Victron Zap Pack, which basically is all sorts of Victron equipment, including a Victron charge controller and a multi-plus system. So what that means is that those panels on the roof are already pre-wired, and this also has the expandable solar where we can go ahead and just plug in from the side. The important thing to know here is that those panels are in parallel, which means that all positives are connected to one another and all negatives are connected to one another. That means that we want to go ahead and make sure that those panels that are on the roof also match our ground deployable panels. And this is why. So this is just one example, right? So we have our Victron charge controller here, and we have our cables going into the charge controller. But when that solar wire port is connected, it is run in here as well. It's also in parallel. So on the roof, we can look at the specs. You want to make sure that you look at that open circuit voltage. On these panels, it's right around 20 to 23 volts. When we're in parallel, like we would be here, and we add another panel, we want to try to get the voltages of these panels right up next to them. So coincidentally, this Renogy panel is also between 20 and 23 volts, right in there. So they'll pair nicely, and then we can go ahead and add the amperage. If, however, this panel were at, say, 14 volts, some smaller panels are. Unfortunately, what that's going to do is actually drop the voltage of all panels to the least common denominator there, and we won't get the same power out of our rooftop panels. Kind of a big deal, right? Now, if the trailer's under shadows or trees and the like, and you're not getting power there anyways, that might not matter quite as much, but it is something just to keep in mind. Now, all of the wiring inside is going to be at least 10 gauge wire. Of course, you can always verify everything with after sales. They're wonderful to work with. But we want to make sure that the cables that we're extending are at least 10 gauge as well. We want to be sure that this extension cable is not 12 gauge or smaller if we have a larger array, or if it's longer. Longer runs create more heat, and that's why we want more copper inside the cables to go ahead and help us transmit that power, or you will see losses, excessive heat, burning up, etc. Now finally, just like had we upgraded our charge controller in that 21C there, we want to go ahead and look at the specs of this charge controller in our Escape 23. For example, if say we have a 400 watt system on our roof and we have the 150 that's inside of our unit, this is rated for 700. That means that our maximum power that we could get out of it deployable panels would be about 300 watts. However, if we have the 130 in that unit, that will do up to 440 watts maximum output. So what that would mean is that we could only get 40 watts anyways. In that case, we would want to go ahead and we would want to upgrade this guy or add a second unit just to keep things very simple. We don't want to waste any power. No sense in that. Hopefully this is helpful for you. There's a couple things to know here, a few configurations and a little bit of equipment, but otherwise, once it's all set up, you just go ahead and you deploy that panel and enjoy free, silent power. Very, very easy, very simple to maintain. I mean, there's just not much to it, and it's a wonderful thing. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.